Hello, I think I've reconnected. So can you hear me or see me right now? Oh, great. Okay. Okay, I will share my screen. Oh, great. So so since can we start right now?
Yes, you can get started.
Okay, cool. Okay, so hi guys. I'm Jeffrey Hu from IRISnet. Today I would share you about the iService. We can call the Iris service, or we can call it as Interchain service. And before I start, let me give you a short introduction about myself and as well as the IRISnet. I have been working with worked within the blockchain industry for like 3 or 4 years. I used to work in hobby research as an analyst. So I wrote some reports about the blockchain. After that, I found IRISnet is a very promising project. So last year, I joined this project to facilitate its ecosystem development. I joined here as the director of research. And for IRISnet, I think many of you have been very familiar with it. It is a self-evolutionary Bayport network. I think one of the unique features of the IRISnet is the iService, and as well as the on-chain governance and this smooth upgrade. But today, I think I will mainly talk about the iService. And IRISnet, I think, is one of the first two hubs that go launched in Cosmos ecosystem in March last year. So actually, IRISnet also provides several functions that support the DeFi, like the CoinSwap and HTLC and other functions. But today, I think we'll mainly focus on the iService. For the IRISnet's infrastructure and the architecture, I think it can mainly divide it into 3 layers, like the consensus layer, the on-chain governance, and these several modules, which can support both DeFi and the enterprise applications. So back into the topic we want to share today. So I think we'll mainly run through these 3 topics. So what application layer protocol should be like in the interchain scenarios, and the iService and its abilities on the single chain, on the cross chain, and also on the off chains. And I will show you some examples and demos through this introduction. Okay, so I think many of you may know that IBC, actually we can see that as a TCP/IP of the blockchain, because it supports the datagrams between the different blockchains and different systems, because it handles the data transport. But I think the TCP/IP still needs some application layers for the blockchains, because many kinds of systems still needs to be extended by the IBC through some other functions. Here are some thoughts of the blockchain of my personal thought about the cross chain. Because for the app or the app developer or users, I think there should be little differences for them between the permission blockchain or permissionless blockchain, as well as the on-chain or options. I think if we have the visions that the blockchain should be the next generation of the infrastructure of the whole internet, so the users should take a little awareness of that, what kind of blockchain they are using right now. So, but for the question, I think the main idea or the main problem the question should be addressed is that it solves the trust problem between the blockchain and the system. I think that's the core value of the question. And so how to solve that trust problem? I think we mainly we can use three kind of ideas or ways to solve that. That's my understanding about that. The first method is no method. Is that that is you have to trust someone like gateway, like notorious. So you trust the gateway to exchange the information and as well as exchange some asset between the blockchains. Well, the second idea, I think, you can based on some mathematical proofs. You don't trust, but you can verify the mathematical the proof, like Merkle proof from the other blockchains. So you can just you don't trust that you don't need to trust some third part in the blockchains. I think that this idea can share some similar idea as well as on the layer 2 particles. Like we can see that the ZK rollup, it is based on the zero knowledge proof. I think this it can share some similar ideas between the layer 1 and layer 2, and as well as the cross chains. Well, the third way is we can see that it's based on asset I write here, but we can also see it is based on some game theories or incentives that you can use in the fraud proof or some incentive way for many users participating in the blockchain for them to behavior just in the right ways. Because we can see that in the optimistic roll up, it is using the fraud proof for the layer 2 particles to behaviors just in the right way, and I think the iService also share the similar ideas. That is, if the users just provide the right data to the blockchain, you can get the service fee. But if you cheat it, you'll be noticed and gets lodged. So, but why we need this fraud proof like method for the blockchains? Because when we get to some other systems like centralized systems or permissioned blockchains like the Fabric, actually they don't have the Merkle proof for you to verify that data. So actually we need this kind of particles to like fraud proof to for that users to behavior just like the way we think we expect it to be. So this is the idea about iService. Well, the iService, so as I mentioned before, is not only to cross chains, we can cross some centralized systems and other legacy systems. So iService can utilize the IBC to transmit the service, but it can also serve as only on the single chains. So here's some if we can combine the IBC and the iService, we can have the TCP/IP and HTTP to the whole blockchains. Here's a topology, but I think we can skip this and we can have some exact scenarios on the iService. Like the first one is on the single chain. So iService can be used without the IBC because the users can just define a service on the blockchain, like on the Earth Hub. We can and other users can bind some or can deposit some Earth token on the blockchain that he can saying that that I can provide some kind of service defined by other users, and some other users can request that service by the iService on the IRISnet, and the service provider can just respond. So the whole network or the whole blockchain can be turned into a service market through the help of IBC. That's what we have achieved on the Edge Hub, just on the single chain. And iService can also be used on some other all kinds of systems. Actually, we can mainly divide this into two parts. The first one is to the cross chains. we can use that iService, use the iService plus with the IBC, but this IBC is also need to be customized. And also we can use to some options, that is we have no merkle proof or no other blockchain like particle systems. Like we can have the one example here is the iService plus the Oracle. So here is the first scenario is the question. So that is iService plus the IBC. Here's the examples. Here is Iris Hub connected with the application chains. So the iService message can be transmitted by the IBC relayers here from the Iris Hub to the other application chains. That is app chain, we can say our application chains that is supporting the iService. So the users on this kind of app chains can just send his request and get response on the connecting only to the app chains. But the iService message can be exchanged by the relayer, which connects the with the application chain and the Iris Hub. But actually on the right of the screen, actually I made some simplified shown here. Actually, the service provider can also be connected to another app chain here to provide its service, as long as the app chain is supporting the iService these functions. So what we do here is need to do some more development and implementation here. The first one is relayer. We need to develop some light clients that connecting with the many kinds of the action here. And we also need to develop an iService extension that deployed on the application chains. We can have this kind of two kinds of the extension here. The first one is the core extension. This main component is of the iService extensions for them to handle with some logic of the service here. And we also implement a market extension to help the chain to get information about the service provider. So on the action, it usually will to implement it on the, in the form of the smart contract, like we can deploy on the Ethereum and other blockchains. So this is we can see here is the first one is a relayer, and the second one is a iService extension we need to develop here. Well, the second way we can interact with other system is we can interact with option systems. The one example is Oracle module. I think that's one of typical usage of the iService that are connected with the options, because the data feed or data collection with in the Oracle is very similar to the iService life cycles. You need to create some data feed and start feed, and also you can pause that data feed services. So we have developed the Cosmos SDK module called Oracle on the IRISnet. So some applications can get their option data through the data feed, through this Oracle modules to get the data. And besides the oracles, we can also have more functions and services. Here's an example we implemented on the IRITA. Actually, it is a permissioned blockchain product we also developed by our team, and I believe that I think IRITA is also the first consortium blockchain product in the Cosmos ecosystem. On the IRITA, we also have the iService functions. So we wrapping many application apps into the iService, like privacy computing, which is very useful in some enterprise applications. Like we can using that privacy computing to makes the data privacy and be shared by many parts of the system. And we can also have some legacy system to be integrated with IRITA, like the OA, like the ERP. We can have this kind of system to be integrated and have their functions or abilities to be published on the IRITA. So it is quite useful in some permissioned blockchain scenarios. And what we achieved so far actually is we already have the iService function available on the IRISnet mainnet, and we also developed the Oracle module, also Oracle Cosmos SDK modules depends on that iService, which I mentioned before. And we actually have implemented some layers and iService extensions for the Ethereum, for the Hyperledger Fabric, and for the physical Bcos, which is also a very famous blockchain framework in China. And we also deployed some instance in some networks, like on the BSN, which is a very big network right now in China. It is short for the Blockchain Service Network, led by some big groups in China. And we also customized the IBC to deploy that instance. So here's a demo of the BSN I talked before. You can see this topology that the IRITA hub, in the center, it can connect with many kinds of system here or blockchains here. The first kind of is at the left of the screen. It can connect with some permission blockchains like Fabric and like Superchain from Baidu, like the physical Bcos. So the 01 is the iService extension, and the information they need to be cross-chained is by the relayers. And the second kind of system, it can connect with some public blockchains like the IRISnet, like the Ethereum, and which I believe we can connect with many other kind of blockchain, public blockchains. And also we can connect with Chainlink oracles to get some off-chain data. So this is the topology of the IRITA hub on the BSN. Now here is also a demo workflow of that IRITA hub. Actually, we have already prepared for this demo, and we need to waiting for the environment to be ready for this demo show. But the workflow is mainly about this kind of like 4 or 5 steps to show that IRITA hub actually can interact with the public blockchain, the permissioned blockchain, and as well as the off-chains. So the demo step is the first step is that the application maybe on the Fabric or other super chains that can need to have the price from the public blockchains. Like the applications on the Fabric need to publish some asset that depends on the price we can get from the Ethereum or other blockchains. So so the first step, the app requests the Ethereum price from the Fabric. Well, the Fabric, the message can be transmitted by the IBC relayer, which we customize here. So the message will get to the IRITA hub, and further to be requested to the Ethereum. The smart contract we use here is the mint base. We can get some also the second step is from the Chainlink oracles. We can get some Ethereum price from the Chainlink oracles, and after that, the service providers can publish service through back to the applications on the Fabric. So the Fabric can process that price data to forge or mint asset that can future be transmitted to exchange on the Ethereum. So with some enterprise data to be forged into the NFT or other kind of form of the asset, this data can be transmitted to the IRITA hub again. That the IRITA hub will further to call the mint base on the Ethereum, that to mint asset NFT asset on the Ethereum. So that this data actually we can see here from the Oracle, from the Chainlink Oracle, from the permission blockchain, and finally can get into the public blockchain and be exchanged on the Ethereum. So this is the whole flow demo workflow that demonstrating that IRITA Hub and iService can interact with many kinds of system in the public blockchain and many kinds of system right now. So for the next move we are working on is to connecting with more chains besides the Fabric and other chains, both the permission blockchain and permissionless blockchains using the iService. And actually we will publish many more services on the IRIS Hub and IRITA Hub, like the e-ticket, which is also developing by our partner called Stereo Medias, which also received a grant from the IRIS Foundation recently, using that iService to publish like on the IRITA Hub to provide some e-ticketing services. Also on this application, it will also use the NFT modules to manage the ticket data on this on the tradings. So here's the main contact we want to share you today, and here's some of my contact, and also from the IRISnet contact, and like Twitter and Medium, and as well as the Telegram groups. Okay, thank you. Let me see if there are some questions here.
Cool. So if there are no questions, we can transition to our next talk, or you guys can, do you want to drop your Twitter handle in case people come up with any questions? They can ping you afterwards.
Oh, great. Yeah, sure. I think. Well, so here's my Twitter ID. You can just contact me here.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeffrey. This is great. So we're going to transition to our next talk now. And
okay, thank you.